Well, thank you for joining with us today as we discuss second chance or fair chance employment. I'm Nancy Hale, President and CEO of Operation Unite, and our three panelists for the day will be Ashley McCarty, who is a business liaison with the Kentucky Chamber Workforce Center. Ashley, I guess if you can wave or whatever. Matt Brown, who is Senior Vice President of Administration at Addiction Recovery Care, or ARC, and Jeff Whitehead, Executive Director of Eastern Kentucky Concentrated Employment Program, or EKCEP. We hope that today, after the 40 or 45 minutes that our panelists will be sharing with you, that you will have some questions for them. We'll have a time for Q&A. But we also hope that you go away today with a clear understanding of the framework built to help those in recovery find employment, why second chance employees are often your best employees. Second chance employment can also mean helping those in recovery start a business. And we hope to leave you with resources that are available to employers. In the words of one of our panelists, Jeff Whitehead, Appalachia, Kentucky is not a problem to be solved. We are an opportunity to be discovered. For decades, we have fought substance use disorder head on. Operation Unite has stood at the front lines, building collaborative models of action and promoting innovative strategies that have led to results that far exceed the data points. We know that one of the most important things a person in recovery can do to maintain their sobriety is to work. This can be a former job, or in some cases, a new career, or even starting a new business. Whatever the case may be, a person in recovery can find dignity in work. You know, it's important for all humans to have daily stimulations and interactions in the world that help to keep the mind sharp and the emotions properly fed, and employment can help fulfill that need. As we continue to embark on a journey to help those in recovery coming out of the treatment facility or a treatment program, Appalachia, Kentucky is a national best practice recognized for its collaborative approach that is creating hope, changing the culture, restoring families, and thus creating a future in Appalachia. To our first panelist today, Matt Brown with Addiction Recovery Care. Matt, ARC has built a crisis to career model by incorporating training into the recovery process. You've also created second chance businesses and incorporated second chance employment into your organization. We'd like for you today to discuss the importance of this model and how it's made a difference with ARC. Also, as a person in long-term recovery, you have been part of a collective effort to destigmatize those on a path to recovery. How important is second chance employment to those in recovery?
Thanks, Nancy, and it's an honor to be a part of the SOAR Summit. I have been impressed year over year to see this people movement grow and continue to build relationships and networks. Like you said, I'm a person in long-term recovery. I suffered from addiction for 18 years until I ended up in treatment at one of Addiction Recovery Care's residential facilities back in 2014. I celebrated 6 years of recovery this May, and my life is completely different today because of the work that all of the different organizations in the region and in the state have been doing on behalf of people like me. I was broke, I was helpless, I was hopeless 6.5 years today, and I'm the exact opposite of that today. So when I entered treatment 6.5 years ago, Addiction Recovery Care only had 3 facilities, was treating about 100 clients, 40 employees. I say that to describe the lack of treatment resources that was the reality of Kentucky 6, 7, 8, 10 years ago. There were great programs, there just wasn't enough of them at that time. There was little access to care, and part of the foundation of that access to care were the Unite vouchers that Operation Unite started several years ago. So since then, addiction recovery care has been able to grow to meet the needs of the region and the state. Today, we serve over 1,200 clients. Over 1,200 clients. We have over 600 employees, and we're speaking specifically about second chance employment today. And what I want to double down on is we are not talking theory today. We are talking about things that are currently happening in the state of Kentucky. We have 600 employees. Half of our employees are people who are dedicated to long-term recovery. 1/3 of that 600 are people like me who've actually been through the program. And we've grown from 3 facilities to 30. We've grown from 2 counties to 17. And we're about to open a facility in Springfield, Kentucky, which is an hour west of Lexington, that will house several hundred clients on a college campus. So as far as second chance employment goes, I kind of have been thinking about this, and I see society as a metaphorical kind of a way like soil in a garden. So the rocks and the weeds are things like stigma, things like background checks that prevent people from getting employment, things like generational poverty that have people stuck in a mindset and a cycle of hopelessness, things like lack of access to care, lack of economic opportunity. But then if you take that same approach and you look at what would good soil look like, fertilizer, water, and sunlight, it's things like transportation, childcare, policies that help people get back on their feet, quality education, collaborative partnerships that we're all going to talk about today. And one of the most important aspects of this is second chance employment. Jeff, I'm going to quote you also. And a couple years ago, I was at an event you were speaking at, and you said that meaningful employment is great medicine. And we have seen that ring so true in the lives of the people that we are treating from addiction. So the more rocks and weeds that are in a soil, the less recovery will grow. The more good soil, fertilizer, water, and sunlight, the more recovery can flourish. I literally just stepped off of the Chamber's Recovery Task Force call before I hopped on this call with business and healthcare leaders across the state and the nation. And State Representative Adam Bowling from the 87th District was discussing a bill that they are submitting called the Recovery Ready Community Bill, where they are putting together the pieces of the puzzle that says your community is actually ready to help people recover. So instead of us moving forward in a very organic approach, they are helping to develop a framework that improves recovery for all people. So I'm very excited. Once again, this is not theory. We're talking about steps that Kentucky has taken and is still taking to move the dial forward on this issue of addiction and recovery. So at Addiction Recovery Care, we have 5 dimensions to our approach to care. We started off as a grassroots ministry almost 12 years ago to the day, and have a strong spiritual component to what we do. We are basically telling people that God is a source of forgiveness, hope, and redemption in their lives if they choose to take advantage of what He has for them. We have a strong clinical component where we have counselors, case managers, and peer support specialists who are helping people walk out the behavioral health side of their addiction, because once again, addiction is a very complex issue. We also have a strong medical component with nurses and physicians that help walk alongside of our folks on the physical health side. We have a strong recovery component with a commitment to the 12 steps and support groups. And what I want to focus on is our vocational component and what we are now calling our opportunity component. So once again, 600 employees, half of them are people in recovery, 1/3 are people who have graduated from the program. And I want to highlight a study by Deloitte Consulting from a few years ago that says people who are in active recovery, so this is not just people who can pass a drug test, but people who are committed to a life of recovery actually miss less work than the general workforce, 1 day less per year than the general workforce. And so this isn't just some feel-good story that businesses can and should take advantage of. This is actually good for business and good for people. So we have developed several different vocational opportunities at Addiction Recovery Care for our clients to take advantage of as they move through our continuum of care. Our flagship vocational opportunity has been the Peer Support Specialist Academy. And before I go any further with industry jargon, I want to describe that a peer support specialist is a person who has been in addiction, is now in recovery, and they've taken a certification course that says they are able to help someone else get out of addiction and get into recovery. And so the state of Kentucky has actually created that as a Medicaid reimbursable service that has helped stimulate the need for more peer support specialists. And so we created an academy alongside of, so a 6 to 9 month college equivalent course, alongside of our partners at Eastern Kentucky Concentrated Employment Program, Jeff Whitehead, SOAR, who we're at their summit today. Operation Unite has played a big role in that with their voucher and stipend program, because it has allowed people to stay in care long enough to do educational programs, and Sullivan University that's given the college credit. So that program has seen such great success and that success is 81% of the people who've completed that 1 year program are still in recovery today and are still employed. That completely flips most addiction treatment statistics on their head. You can hear some programs are having 10 to 20% success, and this Peer Support Academy completely has changed that. So it's being studied by Health and Human Services out of Washington, D.C., and the Social Security Administration, because of its impact at taking people from, quite frankly, welfare to taxpayer, because we have seen that, once again, meaningful employment is great medicine for those that are struggling with addiction. We've also started Second Chance Auto, a full-service automotive garage that's open to the public in Louisa. Second Chance Lawn Care, who's open to the public and ran and staffed by people who are in recovery. We have a coffee shop. We've created a construction and maintenance program, and we're looking toward moving into hospitality and culinary arts. So if we think about this approach, and we're not talking theory, one of the things that I want to talk about in this collaborative effort with the different organizations is we were approached last year, and many people that are helping me on this panel and alongside of me got the same phone call, and it was from the National Opinion Research Center out of Chicago. And that phone call said, we've been studying overdose trends nationally by county. And what we have seen is that 14 of the top 20 counties in the nation that have seen the biggest reduction in overdose deaths in the last 5 years versus the previous 5 years is in Eastern Kentucky. We see it from Chicago. We see it on our heat map. What's happening in Eastern Kentucky? And every partner that got that phone call most likely said it's a group of partners who are working together to make a difference for a bigger purpose. So they came and they visited us and Jeff and Nancy and SOAR and different groups. And I get to speak with them next week at the Kentucky Rural Health Association. But the thesis of why the reduction is so seen in Kentucky is clear. A decades-long epidemic that has ravaged our families and our communities didn't happen overnight. It took a long time for us to get here, and it's going to require comprehensive, coordinated collaboration across different partners like the Chamber, like EKCEP, like Unite, like the University of Kentucky, Sullivan, and SOAR to make a difference. So I'm excited about what I'm seeing happening, because I remember, listen, it was just 7 short years ago that I was making phone calls to get help for my addiction, and I was getting answers on the phone like it's going to take 6 months to get you into care. Today, Kentucky has an infrastructure that allows people to get care fast, stay in care a long time, and have opportunities on the back end. So Nancy, thank you for your strong leadership and for Operation Unite's major role in this. And I just can't say enough good things about what I believe is happening in the state.
And I agree with you, Matt, on the good things that are happening. And I'm glad you brought up the Peer Support Specialist Academy, because that's one thing I want to ask Jeff Whitehead, our next panelist, to talk about in a few moments. But Jeff, workforce training is essential to all those who are seeking employment, but it's critically important to those in recovery in order to help them stay on their path to recovery. So first, we'd like for you to share some ways that EKCEP is working across the region to assist with training and to connect those in recovery to employment opportunities. But then secondly, EKCEP has created and been part of a lot of collaborative efforts over the years. And one of those was the Peer Support Specialist Academy that Matt mentioned, with ARC and Sullivan University and SOAR and others. That program provided much needed support to recovery and healthcare organizations who were working on the front lines. And we'd like for you to also discuss, how did that model help pave the way for the collaborations and programs we see today?
Great. Thanks, Nancy. Hi, everybody. It is a real honor to be here and be a part of this conversation. More than that, though, it's an honor to be a part of this group of people as we're working to win this battle and to get people to work. And as Matt was talking about crisis to career, where we are in that continuum is, as people are coming into recovery, that's where we're trying to make really important connections. So we've got really good people throughout our region that are connecting to people who are coming out of crisis and into recovery and are ready for the next step. So we're making that connection, developing relationships with people at that point, getting to know them, getting to know what their gifts and talents are, what their dreams are, and then taking a real individualized approach to connecting them to the right opportunity, the right work, whether that be training, some subsidized employment to help them get started, or just a straight up connection to an employer. So these folks that are working with folks throughout the region, nearly about 600 now that since we started about a year ago, they're like coaches, they're coaches, they're advocates, they're people, they're friends. It's all about, I think that, when people are coming into this place and in a place where they can get back to work and get back to productivity, they need a friend and they need somebody to have their back. And so we've got people who are doing that. Also, on the other side of that equation is they're working with employers throughout the region as well, trying to identify those that can provide that softer landing, for somebody, and a good connection. So we're working hard to make that marriage work, and that's really a lot what we're doing with our efforts there. And we have people, as a result, they're working in manufacturing. It's one of my favorite stories of this gal who got a job with a local manufacturer that came to the area. She had that history, and they said they don't care about that as long as you do your job and are willing to learn and all that kind of thing. And it didn't take long, and this vivacious, hardworking gal is kind of almost like a foreman now, leading people and doing awesome work, gotten lots of raises already, and they love her. And so we're seeing that play out a lot We've got people in training and as to become welders, people, like I said, in manufacturing, IT, across the board. So we're real excited about the progress that's being made and the openness that we're seeing more and more in terms of the work. And sticking with Matt's analogy, a lot of our work here with our folks that are working with these people, they're hoeing that garden. They're trying to remove some of those rocks and weeds and obstacles that are in their way. So that's another part of their job is helping them to negotiate all the things that come into play when you come back to work. You have issues and appointments and maybe transportation issues or housing issues. So it's about our folks, going back to that whole collaboration thing. It's about our folks not being the one that solves all the problems, but knowing where to go to connect them to get the resources they need to address those issues. Some we can do ourselves, and some we need to connect with other folks. I think you're talking to me, Nancy, but you're muted.
Jeff, we just had a question come in that
Okay.
goes right along with what you're saying about the collaboration and helping folks with obstacles. And this is, I would like to know how your organizations have been able to assist those in recovery with transportation issues. That seems to be a big issue if someone lost their license or can't afford a car. So is there anything specifically that EKCEP could help in that area?
I know that, I know there have been times when we've worked with people to help them get their license back, to go through that steps and help negotiate those kinds of things. Sometimes if it's a temporary kind of thing where they need to get a battery for their car, or they have some kind of transportation issue, we address those kinds of things. So, I don't have anything more than that, right? And except for the fact that we work with agencies and organizations and try to apply and address those things on an individual basis. It is another big issue. Housing is a huge issue. And that's why our partnerships with all the folks like Fahi and others are so important.
Right.
Jeff, I'm going to share an example. It's interesting that the transportation question came up. One of the ways that we've partnered with EKCEP. Am I still on mute? No. Okay. One of the ways that we partner with EKCEP to actually help transportation for some of our employees is we work with EKCEP and have a success coach. We utilize one of their success coaches. And so that person is an assister for our employees, so they can reach out to her for any of their needs, whether that be guidance to finding a counselor, to finding childcare, transportation, etc. And we work alongside of a community nonprofit that raises money for this assist club, we call it. And when the success coach gets a call from one of our employees, hey, I need my car worked on, or hey, I need a car, she will reach out to that nonprofit, and they have funds set aside to help people with small purchases. And so just today, there's somebody getting $1,000 car, and they're going to pay back half of that to the nonprofit to keep the money flowing so that we can keep helping people. So that's one way that EKCEP has been right in the middle of a person getting a car today.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks for that example. And that's just that whole individualized approach. And that the success coaching that Matt mentioned is, that's exactly what it's designed to do, is to help people with all those kinds of issues. Yeah, I love that. Your second part to your question, Nancy, I love that I love that question. Is how did our partnership with the Peer Support Academy pave the way for a lot of this collaborative? And Matt, how many graduations have we had now since we started? I've lost track, but there's been many of those. 9. We've had 9 graduations of Peer Support Academy graduations, and we've seen hundreds of people being launched into new careers. And these are people who've been on both sides of things. And, you know, it's one of those, I kind of sum it up with a Mark Twain quote that's kind of funny. I think it's got good imagery. It's when you hold a cat by its tail, you learn things you can learn no other way. And that's pretty funny. But I think a lot of folks that have been in active addiction and fought their way out of it know things that nobody else can know. And that puts them in a position to help people in ways that nobody else can help them. And so that's been an awesome partnership, and it has paved the way for a lot of collaboration. And I think, let me just say this, you know, when I go to those graduations, redemption and victory, hope that is there in those graduations, that's addictive. Those things are addicting things that I think draw people to this population. And what I've seen, I can only speak for myself as I've been involved in this partnership, and I'm so grateful to have been a part of it. That was something that Jared Arnett connected myself and Tim Robinson. And we wrote out the Peer Support Academy on a napkin at a taco place in Lawrence County. And I got to go there. And so it was kind of birthed out of that. But what that has done for me, Nancy, is I've seen stigmas go away, because all of a sudden you are seeing people in a whole different light. You see their hopes and dreams, and you see where they were and where they are now, and you are gaining understanding. That stigma is replaced by understanding, and that whole atmosphere has led, I believe, you know, just to me being able to meet people like Ashley and you, Nancy, and Matt, and Dr. Pena, and Van Ingram, and how many people can we name where we're all together, talk Fahi, the Fletcher group, so many groups of people that we have become friends with. And I think it's paved the way. That, for me, that work with the Peer Support Academy has paved the way for a lot of really awesome collisions of like-minded people who say, well, I can't do that part, but I can do this part, and I can do that part. And I'm quoting Matt, I think I heard you say this one time, it's like we're just a bunch of friends working on a problem. And that's the way it has become. And I think that's why we're seeing the success that we're seeing. That, along with the amazing people that are coming into recovery, ready to go. I meet them all the time, and I'm always amazed at what gifted, talented people they are.
That's true. And I will say this also, Jeff, about those graduations with the Peer Support Specialist Academy. I need to be there myself. They give me the inspiration. It's like, I guess saying a shot in the arm is probably not appropriate when we're talking about recovery here, but they inspire me. And I have a special note page in my phone because I have gotten some of the most fabulous quotes from you, Matt, Tim Robbins, others who have spoken at those and from those men and women in recovery.
Yeah.
And so that takes us directly, Jeff, you have something else you want to say?
No,
Okay.
that's great.
To our next panelist, who definitely understands the path to recovery. Ashley, you work directly with employers, and you also are a person in long-term recovery. And so that brings a totally different perspective, as Jeff was saying, looking through your eyes. That brings a different perspective to your work with the Kentucky Chamber. What are some of the services that are being offered through the Kentucky Chamber and its partners for employers who are interested in becoming a second chance employer or a fair chance employer, transformational employer, whatever we want to call them there? And are you seeing employers becoming more open to hiring those in active recovery, and why?
Thank you, Nancy. I have to say I am an individual in long-term recovery. 7 years, it's been over 7 years now in long-term recovery, but 7 years ago when I got out of treatment, I sat down on my couch and I thought, what do I do now? Who's going to hire me? No one's going to hire me because they look at my background. They remember me as my past, which I have to emphasize that your past does not define who you are. But I started looking for employment because I do have a bachelor's in psychology. And I have to add that I was very blessed by the grace of God to be employed by Addiction Recovery Care. Addiction Recovery Care gave me my second or fair chance straight out of treatment. And so I was a counselor and a case manager, a certified peer support specialist. And so I just owe them a lot of gratitude for giving me that second chance, because I'm so blessed that they gave that to me. But back to the employer part, we educate at the chamber. Well, first the chamber, they came to them and said, what are you going to do about this addiction problem? What are you going to do about this opioid epidemic? What are you going to do? And, you know, the chamber's kind of like, well, isn't that kind of public health or treatment centers or, you know, and then what we realized is it's a workforce issue. It is a workforce issue. And also we have a very low workforce participation rate in the state of Kentucky. And that's partly due to the fact that over 35,000 individuals are incarcerated in either state or county jails in a year. So there's, you know, over incarceration. And we created the Kentucky Comeback website for employers and for those who want to support criminal justice reform and fair chance employment and second chance employment. So we have that website, and on that is it hosts many things we offer employers. For example, we offer trainings. So we bring about awareness and education regarding substance use disorder in general, not just opioid use disorder, but substance use disorder. And then since mental health and substance use disorder are co-occurring, they have that comorbidity 50% of the time, we also bring about awareness and education regarding mental health or mental health disorders. So on that website is the Employer Resource Guide, and it discusses many things like the trainings that we do offer in regards to substance use disorder, addiction and the brain, educating employers that it's not just a choice, it's not a moral failing, but it is a disease, it is a brain disorder. And then educating them with trainings on the mental health, the co-occurring disorders. So we have trainings, and organizations can actually sign up for those trainings, bring them into their organization for their supervisors, their managers, their C-suite, HR specialists, and train them. And we can train them on substance use disorder and bring about awareness. Actually, we just today finished up an open session that we had regarding all these trainings. And we had a great response from different community partners and organizations and employers and HR specialists that joined these trainings. But also on the Employer Resource Guide, it talks about policies and procedures. So basically my task is to pave the way so we can recruit all day long individuals in recovery. But how are we going to retain them if we do not understand that population? If our policies and procedures are not intact with that, if our handbooks aren't recovery friendly, if we don't have cultures that are recovery friendly in regards to substance use disorder and mental health. I remember when I was in active addiction, I was a pharmaceutical sales representative. There was not a recovery friendly culture in regards for me to come forward and say, I'm struggling. And I promise you, no one's going to come forward and say that they're struggling with substance use disorder or mental health if that recovery friendly culture is not intact. Because I know I didn't come forward, and keeping it underground with employers just increases cost, risk, and liabilities to their organization by turning their head or sweeping it under the rug. So we're trying to get them to advocate more for mental health and substance use disorder. We've put flyers on that website regarding these topics that they can hang in break rooms or near the water fountain, or send out in monthly newsletters to their employees to educate, to make it more recovery friendly. So we can also go in one-on-one with employers, and we can work with them to audit their policies and procedures and help them have more recovery friendly language in those policies and procedures and handbooks. And we look at benefits. So you might have an individual that's struggling. Say you have a top performer that's struggling and they need treatment. Do your benefits offer treatment? Do they offer long-term residential care? Do they offer medicated assisted therapy? Things like Suboxone. Do they cover counseling, a psychiatrist? We've got to know this within our businesses and our organizations, because if we're going to help these individuals, we have to know if our benefits cover them. And then we also help employers with their employee assistance programs, educating their employees regarding that. So if someone is struggling with substance use disorder or mental health, they can utilize that employee assistance program. But again, on the website, this is all on the website, and it took us about 3.5 months to collect all this data. So it's kind of like an employer wants to find out more about policies and procedures or handbooks or benefits. They can Google all day long, but we took the work out of that for them, and we did all the research and we did all the documentation. And there's even policies and procedures that businesses can use on the website, and they can put their logo on there, they can put their business organization, the title on there, and they've got their policies and procedures. They've been looked at by legal through the Kentucky Chamber of Commerce. That any employer that uses them has their legal team look at them also, but they have been looked at legally. And then let's see, I'm trying to think. Oh, there is an inventory assessment form. So if an employer wants to know, am I recovery friendly? Where do I need to work on recovery friendly? Do I need to work on my culture? Do I need to work on training? Do I need to work on policies, procedures? There's an inventory assessment form that we created where employers can go in, create this or complete this assessment form. It comes directly to myself or my counterpart, Sonia, and then we can sit down one-on-one with those businesses. And I'm going to add, absolutely free due to our partners. This is at no charge to an employer. So we can sit down with them and help them audit those policies and procedures. So are employers hiring more? Are they becoming more recovery friendly? Are they giving second chances? Yes. They are becoming more open-minded due to not just the chamber, but my partners here on this webinar, bringing about awareness and bringing about education. And like Matt said, we use the statistic in the PowerPoints that I use that employees in recovery miss less work. They take off less often. They have less turnover than who? The general workforce. Why? Why is that? And I can only speak for myself. It's because I was given a purpose. My purpose when I was in active addiction 7 years ago was to get up and find my next fix. I went to bed thinking, am I going to have something in the morning? And I woke up thinking, am I going to find something today? Well, today I have a purpose and I have meaningful employment, like Jeff said, not just employment, but we have to provide meaningful employment. And that's different for each individual. But I do believe that today I have not only a career, but I have a purpose, and it's my passion to pave the way for these employers to allow individuals like myself, like Matt, because we are not unique in any way whatsoever. I'm sorry to tell you that, Matt, but we're not unique. There are hundreds of thousands of other individuals like us in recovery that make excellent employees, that are given a purpose, that want meaningful employment. I read that the number one thing someone in recovery wants is to stay in recovery. That's obvious. The number two thing they want, meaningful employment. And that's why we're on this call today. That's why we're talking about this. So I have to be, or not I, me and my team have to be the ones at the Kentucky Chamber paving the way for those individuals in recovery that are getting recruited, and help those employers open their minds and crush the stigma and see that this is a population that they don't just have to hire out of the goodness of their heart because some heartstrings have been pulled, but because it's going to affect their bottom line in a positive way, because these employees are amazing. And I can go on and on, Nancy, but I don't know what my time was.
Let's see, Ashley, I was so enthralled listening to you. You got some more time if you want to take
I just want to encourage everyone. Do what now?
We do have a question, and for you,
okay, yeah.
Jeff and Matt probably. What about those in recovery who wish to follow a different career path? What options do they have?
Okay, well, can I go first on that, guys?
Sure.
Well, I have to say, whenever I understand that question, when I got out of recovery, I thought I have to give back what was given to me. I want to help individuals in recovery, and it didn't matter what it was. I just wanted to help. So that's why I did become a peer support specialist. But then after so long, there was more that I wanted, but that was a great start for me. Man, not everybody wants to start there, and that's fine, but that was a great start for me, and it progressed me in my career. And I was going to say, with the chamber, we have a who hiring campaign, and we actually have where employers, it's absolutely free, they can go on a website and post open positions, and they can notify that they are a fair chance or second chance employer. So individuals looking for employment can get on that Who's Hiring Fair Chance report, and they can find tons of employment. There's over 5,300 open positions that over 318 employers have posted saying, hey, I'm fair chance. I'm a fair chance employer. Here's what I have available. Come apply. So these individuals don't necessarily always have to work in recovery. They can get on that website that we offer for free and look for numerous ways of employment other than just, the peer support and things like that. But I think that's a great start. I think it's a great start because so many people in recovery want to give back what was given to them. But there are more options, and there are, like I said, over 318 employers that have said, I'm fair chance, come work for me.
That is a great number. I did not realize it was that large. That is encouraging and inspiring too. Matt, Jeff, do you all want to say anything about, what are the options out there for those who are in recovery?
I think they're wide open, and that's where, that's one of the reasons ARC has, did second chance auto and moving into all different areas is to create different options. The funding that we got through Appalachian Region Commission and Tim Thomas and what I was describing before has a huge focus on other alternative options and training and working with employers. So we're not locked into just that one pathway. And I can remember coming off the stage at different graduations and running into people who were saying, well, I was a welder, and I loved welding. I'm wanting to get back to that. How do I do that? Different. So we're open to all things.
I remember I'm 99% sure, I'm sure enough to say it here, that on your first trip to Karen's place, when we did the tour of Karen's place, and then we sat down in the room with the 20 plus women who were in the program, I'm pretty confident that it was you when I asked the question in the room, would everybody just like to go around the room and just share, what do you want to do in life after treatment? And it was teachers and lawyers. And I remember specifically somebody said they wanted to be a helicopter pilot. But it's important to note that people who are in addiction are not only able to succeed in life, but extremely capable of doing whatever it is that they set their mind to.
Absolutely.
Ashley, go ahead.
I wanted to say one thing, because since I've started working at the chamber, and that is so true, the possibilities are limitless. But I have to say, I am known for an individual in recovery, in long-term recovery, but I'm also very blessed to be now known as a businesswoman. You know, it's not just this individual in recovery, but she's a businesswoman. And I'm just, and individuals in recovery can do this. They can do that. That's why with the chamber, they allow me to share my story. In every presentation, I show my mugshot 7 years ago, from when I was living in my car using the bathroom in a bucket, to today. Now I'm working for a fair chance employer who is the Kentucky Chamber of Commerce. You know, there is always hope as long as you're still breathing. So there are numerous job possibilities and opportunities for individuals, because someone said it in the chat right there, your past does not define who you are. It is limitless. You can do whatever you want to achieve.
Ashley, we had another question that probably the Kentucky Chamber, you can answer this, and it is, do local and county chambers post the who's hiring information on their websites?
I'm not for sure if they link it to their websites or not. I know that I send out, it comes out, a new report comes out every Tuesday and every Thursday. And I put the links to the Fair Chance Employment in the chat, and I put the link to the Kentucky Comeback website in the chat. But it comes out every Tuesday and Thursday, and I send those to local chambers, to my chamber buddies. I send all those out into EKCEP, to my partners that I work with, Fahi, different places like that. I send all this out to them, and what they do with it is whatever they choose to do. I know there are some chambers that will post it on their website, but I'm not positive on which ones those are. And like Office of Drug Control and Policy, and Northern Kentucky Office of Drug Control and Policy, Amanda that works there, she always messages me every week, and I send her the updated report, and I know she posts it. So there's numerous individuals that are posting this, but I'm not for sure of exactly which chambers are. But they're free to. They can do that. They can post it if they want. Anyone can. You guys can share it. Please share it, because we're trying to get these individuals employed.
What about employment agencies? Do they receive this information about second chance employers? The more people know about these opportunities, the greater chance they will become employed. So do you know if employment agencies post it?
I'm not for sure if employment agencies do or not. Employment agencies are very welcome. I mean, it's a public website. So we created that. What happened was we created it due to COVID-19. And then we started saying, hey, we work with fair chance, second chance individuals are, being released from incarceration, and they're looking for a second chance or a fair chance. That's why we created the Fair Chance Who's Hiring. But these employment agencies are free to get on there and look and see who those employers are and post those jobs. It's a free job posting website for the employers and for those individuals who are looking for employment. We even have a bot from it's called Heidi Hires. You can get on there and type in your city. You can type in if you want to be a nurse or a peer support specialist, and it will Google search through all those jobs and bring you all the available jobs that relate to whatever your search is. So I encourage these employment agencies to get on there and utilize this and look at this and share this.
Jeff?
That's another place for us to evolve. in here is we have geographical areas within our region, even Eastern Kentucky, where employers are having trouble finding a workforce, and then we have people who are working with folks in recovery that are trying to get them placed, but they don't always connect and they just don't always connect in a timely way. And so I think evolving that to where we create networks of employers that have a systemized approach to onboarding people coming out of that are in recovery, and it's known amongst all of us. I think that's where we might to kind of build that whole community of recovery as a next step. I think we can always do better there.
What about connections with local colleges? What resources are available possibly through that avenue if there is a person who wants to change to have a new career path? Do any of you all have those connections with local colleges, like someone mentioned EKU's workforce education program?
One of the things I can share is, one of the things I can share is over the last 5 years, we've met and had meaningful conversations with EKU, Northern Kentucky University, the community college system, and several of the regional and local community colleges, Sullivan University. And what I've seen, the most impactful piece of this is everyone wants to do their part in making a difference on this issue. One of the things I share with our clients at different times is 10, 12, 15 years ago, I don't know that I could say that everybody was on board with trying to make a difference on the issue in the same way that they are today. So I believe that colleges are extremely on board with this and understand that they play an integral part in this.
Definitely.
I was going to add to that. Sorry. Okay. I was going to add to that. Indiana Tech, this is just an example. Indiana Tech, they have a campus in Kentucky near Paducah or Henderson, but we just actually trained them on our 4-part series regarding substance use disorder, mental health, addiction in the brain, co-occurring disorders, because they want to reach out to this population. They want them to apply. So they just went through our 4-part series. And then also KCTCS, they had their staff, I guess, monthly staff meeting. I don't know, there was like 200 or 250 staff, faculty, employees there, and they had me come tell my testimony and present what the chamber was doing to help employers become more recovery friendly. So colleges are getting involved because these colleges have approached me or us or our team and said, please come educate us. We want to accept this population to come in. So I think that's amazing.
That is. We have just about 5 more minutes or whatever. If we have any other questions, they'll pop up here in the chat, but is there anything that you all would like to say? Okay, 1 minute to close out. What's one thing that Matt Brown that you would like to say in closing?
Thanks, Nancy. And it's rare that I can keep something to 1 minute.
Yes.
But something that's very near and dear to my heart is it was so difficult for me to figure out where to go and what to do. And it was so difficult for my family, for my parents, for my wife to figure out what to do with this guy who seemed like he had potential but could never get it together. So we created a course called Recovery Connectors that helps the common person know the simple steps to get somebody from their crisis into the treatment resources that they need. We're having our next class on November 17th at 6 p.m. And I'm going to type the link in here. It's a 1-hour class that gives you the basic information on how to say, hey, you need some help. Here's what you can do to get help. So I would like to share that with the group.
All right. Jeff?
Well, we just have a ready workforce and a potential workforce that can do great things in our region. Ashley mentioned the workforce participation rate in Kentucky being low. Well, the biggest reason it's low is because it's so low in Eastern Kentucky, and we have people like Ashley and so many others. I mean, she's pretty unique, but there are a lot of folks that have just such tremendous potential, or that's being untapped, or it's not being tapped. And so we're going to keep working really hard with all of our people in connection, and we're getting it done. And so it's an honor to be a part of all this whole group.
Ashley? And you are unique.
No, I'm not. I like to think that that's what got me in trouble. No, what I was going to say to employers, please contact me, contact us, our team, and let us help you be more recovery friendly in regards to substance use disorder and mental health. Let us help you with those conversation do's and don'ts. Let us help you with the legal part. We're here to help, and it's completely free due to our partners, including Office of Drug Control Policy, Van Ingram, which I want to give a shout out to. But and then to those in recovery, I just want to say, I'm doing my best. I'm doing my best as a business leader, as an individual in recovery, to pave that way for you, so that you can get that second chance, so that you can get that fair chance, because I know what it feels like, and it's very humbling. So I just want you to know I'm raising awareness, I'm educating, I'm training, I'm putting my story out there, I'm putting my mugshot out there in every presentation I do, just to bring about awareness and to crush the stigma. So I promise you, every day at my job, that's what I'm trying to do, is crush the stigma so that you can get a fair chance.
And I think all of you all just inspire everyone. And the resources that making available to everyone, and the way that you have helped destigmatize, that's opened up a path for so many people. I'm just going to close with a couple of things today in different sessions that I've picked up, some great quotes, but I hope everyone leaves here understanding how important a job is for someone who is early in recovery. It gives them a sense of worth and purpose that many do not have when they're in active addiction. And to quote the Deputy Director of Operation Unite, Tom Vicini, a few minutes ago, he typed in, "Second chance employment is the most critical element, because with it comes hope, self-confidence, and opportunity." And how true that is. And I just want you all to know that Operation Unite has some services that we can offer, drug-free workplace training that is free of charge, that is presented by some of our treatment team who understand. We also have staff members who are in long-term recovery, and they help us through their eyes, provide us with a better understanding of the need for and the dignity of second chance employment. Congressman Rogers has said for years that there is a future in Appalachia, and second chance employment makes that future brighter. And then Governor Beshear said today, we all succeed when we work together. And that's what second chance employment's all about, working together. So thank you, everyone, the three of you, for being a part of our panel and sharing your expert knowledge. And thank you to those who've joined our session. And please know that we all have resources. We can be contacted at any time.